Alright guys, in this video series I'm going to be showing how to have your own dedicated server in the house or wherever you want to have it. The best thing to do is to use a computer with Xeon processor. This is Z600 workstation, and it has Xeon processor. You can see the specification in the description below. I'm not going to go through that details right now. What I want to show you first is because this I already have 6 terabytes of hard disk. I'm going to open this part. So here's what I've got. I've got 3 terabyte up here, and I don't have any other space, and these are mechanical hard disk. I want the computer, the operating system, to run faster, so I bought the Samsung SSD 850 Pro. This is just for me to enhance the performance of this PC, of this workstation. So because I don't have enough space, that's why I bought that, and I want to create a space just right underneath the DVD drive here, and that's what I'm about to show you in this particular video. Alright, because this particular one is there's no bracket to hold the SSD drive, except I just drop it in there. Let's take it out and see what we've got. Now, to take off these the bottom rack here, or bracket here, just hold this flap, hold it out, and then you'll be able to slide it out. And this is what I've got. So there's no way for me to position it or to hold it in there. That's why I bought this all-master bracket. And the reason why I bought two is because they're kind of different, so I don't know what I'm gonna get. So I decided to order both of them. And the first one is this, or one of them is this. And this is how it looks. There's a flap here. Let me see if I can show you. It says All Master, and let's bring it out and just see what we've got. Now in here I've got all the screws, and this is another screw, and also the front here is kind of open, which means I need to break off this part and then slide it into this to cover this part. I think this will be good for some kind of ventilation into the SSD drive, but I'm not really sure if this is the one I want to use. And I'm gonna look at the second one, take out the second one as well. Let's see what we've got in there. And here's the second one. Just taking it out for the first time. And it's got the manual as well, as you can see, kind of different. But let's take a look at everything. Got the screws. I'm gonna separate this one and then the last. And there are 2 perforated holes here, which should be able to hold the or match the hook on the inside. This one only has one here, so I'm not sure which one is going to hold perfectly in here, but let's see what we're going to do. So I'm removing these, and I'm going to be replacing it with one of these. Alright, I've made my decision. I think this will be a lot better for me. They're both the same thing, same spec. The only thing, as I mentioned earlier, you need to break this part and insert it here, and you can just push it up and just take it out. But I'm going to be using this one, and the SSD drive can just go in here, and then you can push it up and the screws will be able to go here. I think I'm going to. So as I was saying earlier, the SSD can actually, or this bracket can take up to 4 SSD. So we can have one going on the top here, and then the second one here, and the third one can actually go in here as well. and then the fourth one in here. The fourth one here, and you've got the screws. They are well labeled screws there. And then for the rack, I've got about 4 of that here. I don't think I'm gonna need this anyway because of the way this workstation is structured. I'm gonna be using the first one first. I'm not sure if I should use the top one, or I'm gonna go top or bottom. I'm gonna go for the top. Quite a bit of indecision there. Alright, I think it will be best to test this to see if it's going to fit correctly, though I can see that they are of the same dimension and I think it should work fine, but it's best to actually put it to test. Let's insert it. Now, the same way, before you insert it, you need to make sure you open this flap so that it can slide in. It seems like it works better, and you can see where you can use the screw for the rack. So that is gonna go in here, which look really pretty here. The only thing is like we're having 2 makers here, HP or Master, but this is really perfect. I'm gonna take it out again. Now I'm just gonna use the screws. Alright, there might be a bit of a struggle now to put to use the screwdriver to hold this SSD. If you look at the back here, I have a big finger, so sometimes I really cannot push it through to push it up. So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm just gonna hold it this way. Right. All right. So I just push it upside down this way, and then I'm gonna start screwing up. That's just it. And once you're able to do one, the other should be quite easy. Push this up. All right, it's been put in place. And something I did not mention earlier, why I thought this bracket or this rack would be important, is because this does not, the one that came with it does not have an exposure at the back here, so it's kind of difficult for me to insert a cable, or the data cable and the power cable for this SSD. I'll show you something here. This is the power cable and this is the data cable. So it was kind of difficult for me to use this one. I'm not going to talk about this any longer, so we just focus on the main thing here, and then let's push this in since we've got it in place. Yeah, that's it. Now I just figured that it's going to be difficult for me to insert the cable because this place is really concealed, as you can see, and the power cable is not very long. This is the leftover power cable that came with this workstation. So what I have got to do is to take it out. I'm finding it a bit difficult because this power cable is not very long. So what I've got to do here is to take out this DVD drive, and to do that, I'm just gonna take off the data cable first, and then the power cable. Then I'm gonna open the flap. That's the way to take it out. Now I've got these out, and then I'm gonna deal with this aspect. Now I've got more room to complete whatever I'm doing here. So this is done. That's done. That would be the easiest way to do this stuff. I don't know. Let me just show you from this side as well. Alright. Alright, there seems to be a conflict here because the power cable is not very long and I cannot push this in without hitting the power cable. So what I'm going to do is to change the position of the SSD. I'm going to take this out, remove the power. Right, just need to take it off from the top and put it to the one at the bottom. And I'm going to be using a different power cable when I eventually get another, or when I'm about to insert the other SSD drive for the top ones. Right, I'm just going to put it back now to avoid that conflict between the SSD and the DVD drive. I've used the bottom slot, one of the bottom slot there. Did you hear that click sound? Usually you should be hearing that whenever you put the rack in and it's in place. And let me pull the power cable. I think this should work this time around. Put in the, yeah, and this is a lot better, well positioned. Get that click sound. And I'm gonna put power for these ones at the top. Yes. Alright, you can see I've been able to avoid that conflict between the cable for the power cable for the SSD drive and the DVD drive itself. The next thing here is to use insert the data cable for the SSD drive in one of the SATA ports here. Put it in number 3, SATA 3 it says. Just gonna put it there, and then a bit of cable management, not really necessary at this point, but here we are. I've been able to complete the installation of the SSD drive, and the next thing I'm going to do is to transfer the data from the hard drive into the SSD drive. I'm going to share that with you. I need to connect the workstation, the CPU to the screen, and we'll take it up from there. Alright, everything is back in place, and I just want to pull the cover back, and then we're going to be working from the screen this time around. That's back, and I can lock this up. Alright guys, at this stage I have installed the SSD drive and the Allmaster rack on this side, and what I want to do at this point is to transfer all the data from these from the other hard disk into the SSD drive. Now I've done this before, but because I've made use of the operating system, installed some additional programs, I want to do it again so that I can have everything backed up. So if you get once you buy the SSD drive, it will come with a driver, the data migration driver. I've got one here. That's not zooming in properly, but here it is. Once you install the driver, it should be able to detect let's zoom this in. It should be able to detect the SSD drive, and you'll get some notification once you click on the driver. And do you want to allow this app to make changes to your PC? Of course, yes. I'm just going to go on yes, and then the data migration application is coming up. I've got this, and what I want to do is just to click on start on the bottom right corner here. And what we can see at this point is from this 3 terabyte hard disk, which is C, I'm going to migrate it into the SSD drive, which is the 512. Of course, you're not going to get the entire 512 here. So what I've got left is 476, and I'm just going to hit on start. Now, when cloning starts, all data on the target disk will be deleted and cannot be recovered. Also, files on the source disk that are open cannot be cloned. Please close all running files before cloning. I've got nothing running on the background, so I'm just going to hit on yes. Now, this is going to take a while depending on the amount of data you've got on the hard drive. And I'm just going to pause the video now. Just to let you know, you may not have to do this if you are not using SSD drive, and it's not extremely important that you use SSD drive, but for increased performance, then you may need to use an SSD drive for your operating system or for the data that you want to save. That is going to enhance the read and write process for you. As you can see, the cloning process or data migration process is almost halfway through, and I'm going to pause this again. Please, if you want me to complete the entire process of establishing or configuring a dedicated web server for your website, or you want to start this kind of project to make some money, please subscribe to my channel. This is very important. It helps in terms of motivation. All right, it's now at 99%. As you can see, the cloning is about to complete. It should complete in about a minute, probably less than 30 seconds. Okay, verifying clone Windows partition. Alright, the data on the source disk has been successfully cloned to your SSD drive. Now the next thing I need to do, because if I turn off the computer and turn it back on, it's not going to pick it from the SSD. Alright, as I said earlier, if I just turn off the computer and turn it back on, what it's going to do is it's still going to be picking up the operating system from the hard disk, the 3 terabyte hard disk. But what I want it to do is to pick it from the SSD drive. So I'm just going to show you something quickly. I want to restart the computer. Alright, just to show you, I just restarted it and restarted the computer, and as you can see, it's still picking up the operating system from the local disk, which is the 2 terabyte hard disk. So what I'm going to do is to remove these 2 hard disk, and I'm just going to leave the SSD drive only so that I can pick the operating system from there, and then I'm going to reinstall the 2 hard disks back. Alright, just to share this process, I'm going to shut down the computer. And once the computer is shut down, before you do anything, you need to unplug everything from the back of the computer, all the cables, the power cable, right, it's gone off completely. Right, I'm gonna remove the power completely, just to be on the safe side. That's the reason why I'm doing this. And I think prevention is always better than cure. I'm gonna remove the Ethernet cable as well. Take this out. Alright, just to make this very quickly, the blue one is for the hard disk, the blue port there, and the other one, I think you can see the label, hard disk bay 0 and hard disk bay 1. See if I can zoom this in. So I'm going to take these two out. 1, 2, I'm not sure which one of them is the operating system exactly. I'm going to take these and these out. This one is for the... Alright, I'm going to take the blue one out first. And the other one, because I'm not 100% sure which of them is for the operating system. And I'm going to replace this with this. That is for the SSD. That's for the red one. You can see the cable right here going into the SSD. And then I'm going to put the PC, see what happens. Now I just put all the cables back on, the power and the data cable, Ethernet cable, and I'm going to turn it on. The hard disk cables, they have been ejected, as you can see both of them on the side. And then I'm going to turn the computer on this time around. Let's see what's going to happen. And it's coming up. Let's go into the boot drive. Press the F10. And then let's look at the boot order. And it's still the hard drive integrated sorter. And hit the F10 to accept. Go back and then go to save changes. Now this is going to be the first time it's booting from the SSD drive. Coming up for the first time on the SSD drive, and just exactly from where I left off on the hard disk, that is what I'm going to be getting because I cloned everything. As you can see, the two hard disks, the 2 TB hard disk, the gun, each one is 2 TB, the other one is 3 TB. Both of them are not there. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Let's go into the PC. As you can see, this is the SSD drive, 476 GB, and there's not any other disk involved at this stage. So everything has been cloned perfectly at this point. Now what I would do is turn off the computer and then insert the two hard disk back, and I'm done with this stage. And the next phase is going to be setting up the Ubuntu server and installing the first website on the server, and I'll show you the entire process, I promise. Please subscribe to my channel to keep the motivation going if you want me to keep sharing. What I'm sharing is uncut, it's not edited in any way. And thank you very much for doing that. Subscription is extremely important. If you like what I'm doing, you can give it a thumb up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumb down, no problem. And if you need me to improve on anything, please put a suggestion in the comment below, and thank you very much. Alright, a quick showdown here. I've inserted the two hard disk, and I'm going to turn the computer back on now. Alright, just a quick one. I've inserted the other disk, and this was the one I was using earlier, the hard disk, the 2 TB hard disk that the computer was booting up from. All I just need to do at this point is to format this one completely, because I don't need all the data inside. Or I can just leave it for now. Now, just for clarity purpose, the way you're gonna know that how your computer is booting from the right disk is, you will see this Windows logo. That is to tell you that that is where your operating system is residing, and the other ones that does not have the Microsoft logo, that shows that is where you can save your data. So this is all completed now, and the next step is going to be installing the Ubuntu server and setting up a dedicated server for your web server. And I'm going to take you through the journey. As I said, please subscribe to my channel to keep me motivated in doing everything that I'm doing here.